Hello and welcome back to another Project Diablo 2 video. I am Kordesh and today we're going to be talking about the Warcry Barbarian. Now, first I'm going to go over the pros and cons of this character and build. So the pros are, it is fairly cheap to gear, it's incredible for party play, immunities aren't really that big of a deal because of the battle cry and how powerful battle cry is with the amount of plus skills you have. However, there are some pretty big cons. First up, I think that you have some issues sustaining your life in mana, so that's something you're going to have to worry about. Second, the AoE is okay, and the single target leaves something to be desired. That being said, let's get into it. Alright, so to start off, let's go over the attributes. So right now you can see I have 200 strength. This is definitely too much strength. You only want enough strength to wear your gear and then everything else into vitality. There's also a way that you can put hell runes into items to lower the requirement. So as you can see, this requires 76 strength and 44 dex. I recently equipped this, and this has a massive 174 strength requirement. So, that's why my strength is so high. But I would highly recommend just enough strength for gear, everything else in vitality. And if you can swing it, hell runes to help decrease the attribute requirement can get your life even higher. All right, now let's go over the skill trees. So the first 4 points that I want to talk about are in the combat masteries. And these 4 points are just very awesome for your quality of life. So after these 4 points, we're going straight to the Warcry tree, and we're just grabbing tons of stuff. So notably, I put 1 point in everything. It's up to you if you want to find item. If not, don't worry about it. You definitely want to max Warcry, then Battle Cry, then Battle Command. After that, you have a ton of different options. Most players probably are going to want to max Battle Orders, or if you're trying to increase the damage on Warcry the most, you would go for Howl. Now, I don't actually care about that damage on Howl that much, so I opted for other things. Specifically, I'm putting a lot of points into Grimward, because as you can see, this is a ton of attack rating and damage, and I like to synergize with party members. So that's the way that I did it, and you'll see the damage that I'm going to be bringing is going to be enough, even with me throwing all my points into this over something like Battle Orders or Howl. So that's it for the skill trees, nothing in the combat skills, and that's it. All right, so now let's talk about the gear. So first up for weapons, Heart of the Oak is very, very powerful because it has +3 to all skills, faster cast rate. It's just got a ton of stuff. So most people know about this. However, the Grandfather is also a very, very good weapon because of the +5 to Warcries. So that's the most plus skills that you can pretty much have. And it also has attributes and life, which is pretty awesome. Now, the reason why I'm mix and matching these is because that allows me to easily hit this 63 breakpoint, and I'm only losing about +2 to skills. If I put on the other Grandfather, I go down to the 37, and I'm actually going to showcase the difference between that in the map, because to be honest, I don't think the faster cast rate breakpoint matters that much with this high of skills. So that's pretty much what I would recommend for weapons. As far as other stuff, for the helmet, I'm using a Halberd's Rain, and this is nice because, the +3 to masteries is very good just to get, more resist, things of that nature. +2 to barb skills, great, and then Battle Cry and Battle Orders are things we use anyway, and we want those to be pumped up. The 13% PDR is very good as well, so this is probably my preferred helmet, but there's so many good options. So look at all the different Barbarian helmets, look at Delirium and trying to make that in a Barbarian helmet. There's a lot of really cool options here. So yeah, just do your research. Personally, I prefer this one, but yeah, there's lots of options here. For the amulet, right now I'm using a Mars. I would probably go for a +3 Warcry with a +1 Corruption just to get skills even higher. But really, Mars is fine, but I think I'd rather the more plus skills. For the body armor, I think any +2 body armor is fine. Right now I'm using this just for the defense. That being said, a Q-Hagens is probably really useful for the +2 to all skills and faster cast rate. So just figure out kind of what your need is on FCR or plus skills and just go for it. As far as the gloves, right now we're using the Occultists, but any 20 FCR gloves are totally fine here. The reduced curse duration is really beneficial, and that's pretty much it here. I mean, the maximum mana is fine too, but really you're just trying to get some FCR on your gloves. As far as rings and the belt, we are just looking at pure skillers here. The Arachnid Mesh, depending on the cast rate on the Arachnid Mesh, you might have to finagle your FCR breakpoint, but it shouldn't be that big of an issue. So it looks to be pretty easy to hit this 63. And then right now I'm using Rite of Passage just for CBF. Any CBF corruptions would allow you to use something much, much better. So that's pretty much it for the gear. We have Warcry Skillers, and then we have Hellfire Torch and Annie. As far as small charms, I'm just using resistances and life, but it really kind of depends on your resistances. So that's it for the gear. Next up, let's talk about the Mercenary. So the Mercenary, I have a pretty normal and standard setup. We're going to have a Life Leech helmet. So right now I'm using the budget Tal Rashas. I'm using Leviathan for that fat 29% PDR. Using the String of Ears for another 10% PDR. And then we have the Cannot Be Frozen on Boots, 20% IAS, and increased damage to demons. And then we've got the Reaper's Toll. And the Reaper's Toll is incredible because the amp damage boosts your Warcry damage. So it's very, very useful. And Warcry and Battlecry synergize very well with the physical damage resistance shredding that they combine for. So that's it for the Mercenary. Let's go ahead and jump on into a map. All right, so we've got a map up. It's a 222% density with a 76 gold line, which is pretty great. Really, the Cold Absorb, Magic Absorb, none of this stuff actually matters very much. We don't have blocks, so this is actually a very, very good map. So we're going to go in and we're going to buff up with Battle Command, Battle Orders, and Shout. And so you can see we have a level 52 Warcry. And so some people like to do Leap, and I don't really care about leaping. I feel like it's kind of a waste of time, maybe early on. But yeah, so really all you have to do is spam Warcry after you have Battlecry active. The Shred is plenty, and as you can see, we just fly through these cows. So yeah, we can show the actual damage. So it's 6,700 physical, and Warcry reducing their their physical damage taken increases our Warcry damage. And as soon as amp damage procs, I mean, they just die instantly. So it's very, very good. I wanted to go ahead and throw on Grandfather as well. And so now we have 2 Grandfathers, and our FCR is much worse, so it's 37%. But as you can see, it's like 3 Warcries, and they're all dead anyway. So the actual FCR doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, it's kind of whatever. So as you can see, our mana is going down, so you're going to have to sustain with either an Insight or Mana Potions. But there is definitely one thing that I wanted to address that I haven't touched at all with this map, and that is Grim Ward. So if I pull up my Mercenary, 600 to 3600, let's go ahead and slap down Grim Ward, and now we're at 1000 to 6300. So his damage just goes up tremendously. And to be honest, I feel like this is better than a lot of other options, just because your single target really is your Mercenary a lot of the time, especially with a build like this. So I'm going to try and rush over towards the boss, and we'll see what we can get done. Yeah, it seems fairly safe. Again, if you leap, you can kind of proc like a hit recovery on them and position better, but I don't care that much about it, to be honest. I'm just going to chug a rejuve to get my mana back, and we're just going to keep on clearing. And yeah, you probably won't notice much of a difference if you use double Grandfathers versus Heart of the Oak. You can definitely cast much faster and have higher DPS with the FCRs, but I don't know. I probably should have actually pre-buff casted my Battle Command, Battle Orders, and Shout with the double Grandfathers, just because that's easily plus 10 right there. But yeah, so we're just gonna kind of run around, kill a couple cows, go in. And another thing that you can do is, so like this is an elite right here, I can find item a bunch right here, trying to look for some other stuff. And the big defensive mechanic is just your ridiculous life pool. So my charms are very good, so my life pool is like insane, but Battle Orders also grants a ton of life. And if you wanted to, you could put, what, like Howl on something. Wait, that's taunt actually. Hang on a second. You can put Howl on a hotkey and just CC monsters to make it a little bit safer for you. So whatever you need to do to make it easier and safer. Wow, these things are not dying. Are they bugged? That was weird. Anyways, let's just keep going towards the boss. And yeah, something like an Enigma might be able to let you like telestomp or position better, but I don't know. I feel like that stuff is great quality of life. The people that like it will use it. The people that don't care about spending that currency on it won't worry about it. But yeah, so I'm definitely taking a little bit of damage. And really the best way that you're going to have to sustain is probably just chug potions, which doesn't feel great, but like enough potions drop. If you use a good loot filter, which I don't have a loot filter active, then it'll be okay. But I'm just going to keep on chugging a couple rejuves. We should be reaching the boss pretty soon. And I'm trying to just get in kind of the middle here and do as much damage in a circle around me. Now, if you're wondering about amp damage and battle cry and how that works, I have a very specific video on resistances, but the long story, the TLDR is they stack and they both add together. So if you have, negative 30% from amp damage and negative 30 from battle cry, it's just negative 60, which is really powerful. And yeah, it increases the damage they take by a lot. Yeah, as soon as they both get them, it's just between me or the Mercenary, they're just dead. I've been doing a very bad keeping up my Grim Ward for my Mercenary, but it seems okay. We're still killing fairly easily. I will say the shout noise that it makes is pretty annoying. Alright, here's the boss. So we're going to try and just murder it. Make sure we have that up. And we're just casting at it. We just keep on throwing a couple things and it goes down. It's fairly safe. I mean, you have so many hit points that it doesn't really matter. If your Mercenary's tanking, then it is what it is. But yeah, you just hold one button. It's pretty chill. We got a pure demonic essence. That's cool. And then afterward, with smart casts, you can just hold your find item button and it'll just kind of run around horking bodies, which is fun. Yeah, and so that's pretty much it. And so yeah, that's how I like to play it. I like the high level Grim Ward, especially if you're playing in a party. Like, that is just a ton of damage to your team. And you can see the damage is pretty much good enough. And the FCR doesn't matter if you wanted to go Grandfathers or put one Grandfather on one Heart of the Oak. You have plenty of options, but pretty smooth gameplay, and yeah, pretty fun. So that's the map showcase for the Warcry Barbarian. That's it for the Warcry Barbarian. I definitely recommend this build for anyone that enjoys supporting a team, as well as kind of a different playstyle with lots of different spells to cast that buff up. And it seems like it's not a very popular build, so you'll probably have an easier time gearing it up. As far as leveling and gearing, I would not recommend leveling with Warcry early on. Once you level up on the first Bale and go through Nightmare, respecking is probably fine. And I would definitely recommend picking up plus skills on the Amulet and the Helmet, getting Spirit Weapons for the FCR, and then if you can, try and rush an early Nausea set. Once you have that set, you're going to be pretty good to go. So the leveling is going to be fairly decent. And personally, I prefer to farm pits until I can farm Travancore, and then you're going to have to live in Travancore until you're ready for mapping. But other than that, really like this character build, really looking forward to playing it, and I'll see you next time.